They know that Jesus is the way.
Who will go? Who will tell? He is the only way.
The harvests are plenty. Rise up and be ready.
Time to go, time to tell, time to step in, obey. Here I am, send me to walk in your plan. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Carried across your land, don't wanna rush your time to go to reach and reach to testify your word might be lifted. Speak your truth through every storm, turn blue to go to reach and reach to testify your word might be lifted. Not my might or nor my power, Lord, not by sight, but by my faith. Fight, not my time, but your divine light on the road. I give you all my life, yes I will. Lifted, lifted.
Go to reach and reach to testify your word might be lifted.
All right, that's great. It's great to have you all here at English Worship today. I'm Pastor Jamie, and thanks for joining us on site and online. It's great to have all the interns back with us after their night of away. I hope you're not going through like electronic withdrawal. You know, you didn't have your hape for like 12 hours. Oh no. And it's great having Ed and some others are visiting back around during semester break. So great to see so many. If you're visiting or a guest with us today, we say welcome. We actually want to say welcome home. We want you to feel welcome and a part of our community here during this semester break. And especially if you're going to be here next semester, we want to make sure you get connected with connect with a leader, find a friend, and serve somewhere. That's what we want to see happen in your life. Well, this past week, 14 of us, a group of 14 of us, decided to go and hike Gunung Sumbing. All right, and it was awesome. All right, it was awesome. Usually when I've gone hiking with Tasha, we usually hike up and down in the same day. I believe we call that TikTok. Yeah, did I say it right? Not TikTok, but TikTok. All right. So, all right, like the clock, TikTok, TikTok. All right. So, but in this, for this mountain climbing, the tour guide advised us to hike halfway up, spend the night in a tent, and then at 2:30 in the morning, we hike the rest of the way up and then down, okay? And I don't know what I was thinking, but we said, okay, let's do that, all right? And that was a mistake, all right? I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea. It might have been the worst night of my life, all right? Now, the tour guide told us that the temperature was going to get as cold, it's going to get low, as cold as 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, all right? I didn't believe him. I've lived in Indonesia for 16 years. It has never been 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, all right? I'm usually sweating, right? So I don't believe him, so I don't pack for it. I don't believe that's going to happen. But here's what happened. It was that cold, all right? I mean, it was the coldest I've ever felt in Indonesia. It was like sleeping in a freezer, all right? That's what I felt like. It was the coldest. I was freezing all night. I didn't sleep at all. Finally, at 2:30 in the morning, I walked out of my tent, and we could finally begin the hike up to the summit with no sleep and freezing cold. But here's the deal. It was worth it. All right. We had the perfect weather to watch the sunrise. All right. I mean, there were no clouds in the sky. Like usually if you go and watch the sunrise, there's always clouds, right? It's always disappointing because there's clouds in the way. You're like, oh, look at the sun would be there if there wasn't a cloud. All right. So, but for this, it was clear and you could see. And when we got to the puncak, when we got to the summit, when we got to the top, it was amazing. It was probably the most beautiful sunrise I've ever seen in my life. And here's what's crazy is we could see 10 volcanoes from the volcano that we were on. So it was just so clear. But here's the coolest part. Here's the best part of the whole thing is I could see the ocean to the south of Jogja and the ocean to the north of Semarang. All right, I could see all of Jawa from north to south. It was just an incredible moment. It was one of the coolest things I've ever. It was just totally incredible, and it became like it sounds a little cheesy saying it, so it became like a spiritual moment for me. All right, because I was thinking this is like God's perspective on my life, right? That God can see the north to the south, and all I see is the mountain in front of me, right? You know, like God can see he sees the beginning and the end. He sees the north to the, he sees the big picture. He sees it all, when all I usually see is the mountains and the problems in my life and all the issues. But God has this way of seeing the big picture. God sees the big picture when all I see is what's in front of me. God sees the big picture when all I see is what's in front of me. I like how the writer of Hebrews puts it. He puts it this way: let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. I love that idea that God is the author, that he's writing our story, but he's also the finisher, that he's gonna write it to completion, that he sees from the north to the south. He sees the big picture. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. I love this idea that God sees, when all I see is the mountain and the issues and the problem in front of me, man, God takes a step back and he says, you know what? I see the ocean to the north of Semarang and the ocean to the south of Jogja. I see the whole thing. And this Live Dead series is really trying to help you understand, or help you see the big picture of what God is doing, and challenge you to be a part of it. That's what we've wanted to do with this whole Live Dead thing, is to help you see God's big picture and invite you to be a part of it. Because you see, when I was 17 years old, I became a Christian. When I was 17 years old, I made a commitment to follow Jesus with my life. And when I signed up to be a Christian, when I became a Christian, man, I signed up for a revolution, right? I signed up, I was challenged and called to bring change and transformation to the world and the people around me. That's what I signed up for. When I committed to Jesus, I thought, man, I'm stepping into this thing that's going to transform the world. But too often, I feel like I'm managing relationships, dealing with past hurts, and I'm helping Christians become better Christians rather than changing the world. You see, every day when I step outside of my house, I'm reminded that nearly all of Jogja doesn't know Jesus. Every day, I should say 5 times a day, I hear the call to prayer as a reminder that we live in a broken and hurting and lost world. And I'm called, and really, actually, we're all called to do something about it. That we're all called to do something. We are all called into mission. We are all called to live on mission. That's actually one of our core values here at English Worship, to live missions, to live on mission. I mean, most of us are familiar with the Great Commission. That's in Matthew 28. I think in Bahasa we call it the Amanat Agung. Did I say that right? Amanat Agung, right? So most of us, if you've grown up in church for any amount of time, you've heard the Great Commission. You've heard the Amanat Agung, yeah? It says this in Matthew 20. It says this: Jesus came and told his disciples, I've been given all. Everybody say all. I have been given all, not some, not a little, not a lot, but Jesus says, I have been given all authority. Where? In heaven and on earth. Then he says, therefore, go. Everybody say go. Go and make what? Go and make disciples of who? Of all nations. Now that word nations there is actually the word suku, all right? There's a better translation. It's not bangsa, but suku. So it's go and make disciples of all the suku. Man, we've got like 360 suku in Indonesia. 220 suku terabaikan in Indonesia. 220. 220 suku in Indonesia. Kurang 1% kenal Yesus. All right. And this is the call to you and to me to go make disciples of the 220 ethnic groups in Indonesia that still don't know Jesus. That's what I signed up for. I didn't sign up to go to nice little Bible studies when I became a Christian, to sit in a nice, comfortable, air-conditioned. Man, I signed up to change the world, to bring hope to the hopeless. So what do? We teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I've given you, and be sure of this. Now get this. I am with you always. Everybody say always. Jesus says, I am with you always, even to the very end. And I love that because he calls us into mission. He says, I'm going to call you to step out and to go and to do things that you don't feel comfortable doing, that you don't know how to do. And guess what? I'm going to go with you. You might feel like, man, God, how am I going to do this? He says, I'm going to go with you. That's why I love that idea of always. That's why I usually call this the great co-mission. Not just Great Commission, but co-mission. Like Jesus and I are doing this thing together. He doesn't just call me to be a witness in my coast or on my campus or at my workplace. No, he says, I'm going to go with you to your coast, to your campus, to your workplace, to your family, that you don't have to do this alone. So we know that we're called to live on mission. And so much of this Live Dead series has been focused on missional living. But today, I want us to look at the verses that come before the Great Commission. The verses that we don't really read, but we focus on verses 18, 19, and 20. But what happens before Jesus gives the Great Commission? How does Jesus prepare his disciples to live on mission and to change the world? Because I've talked to so many of you, and this month, I know you guys have such a heart to live for Jesus. So many of you are saying, man, Pastor Jamie, I want to live dead. I want to live on mission. I want to share Jesus with the world around me. I want to make a difference. So today, instead of talking about how to live on mission, I want to back up a little bit and say, hey, how do we prepare ourselves to live on mission? How does Jesus prepare his disciples to step into their calling? Here's what happens. Now, I've been waiting 10 years to talk about these Bible verses, so I'm really excited about today. Looking at you guys, you're not as excited as I am, all right? Now, we have people watching online. I can't see them, but I can see you, right? Like sometimes I think you forget like that I can also see you, all right? So here's what happens just before Jesus gives the disciples the Great Commission. Just before he commissions them and sends them out, this is what happens, and I love it. It says this, Matthew 28, verses 16 and 17, the verses before the verses, all right? This is like the prequel, all right? It says this, then the 11 disciples, why are there just 11? All right, if you know the story, you know why, all right? Then the 11 disciples left for Galilee, going to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshiped him, but some of them doubted. I'm going to read that again. Then the 11 disciples left for Galilee, going to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshiped him, but some of them doubted. If you're taking notes, you can write this down. Point number one, when we show up, God shows off. When we show up, God shows off. It said that the 11 disciples left for Galilee, going to the mountain, and this is the key part, where Jesus had told them to go. Where Jesus had told them to go. The disciples went where Jesus told them to go. So much of my success in life is just showing up. All right, so much of success in your life is just showing up. It's fulfilling the commitments you made. It starts with coming to church. It's showing up to core group. It's saying yes to Chi Alpha leadership when Hendro contacts you, all right? It's showing up to Young Pro when Pastor Vanessa has followed up with you for the 100th time, all right? It's so much of success in life is just showing up, all right? I mean, I was thinking about this. Think about the miracles that we see the Apostle Peter do throughout the book of Acts, right? I remember that one story where he's walking down the road and he's on his way to a prayer meeting, and there's this guy who's begging, right? He's crippled and he's begging. And Peter, as he's walking by, he says to the crippled man, he says to the beggar, "Silver and gold have I none, but what I do have, I give to you in the name of Jesus. Get up and walk." And the guy gets up and walks, all right? And I mean, what did Peter do? All he did was show up, and God showed off, right? He was on his way to a prayer meeting. TNP, anybody? All right? He's on his way to a prayer meeting. He's just showing up, all right? He's not planning on doing a miracle. He's not planning on doing a great thing, but instead he just shows up, and God shows off. Man, it's easy to feel insignificant in the big picture of things. We understand our limited abilities and our resources. We're reminded of our past failures and wonder, how can God use me to make a difference? But the truth is, Jesus turns everything upside down. And it reminds me that my part, I'm not called to be the star of the show. I'm called to show up. And when I just show up, I create space. I give room for God to show off. Moses felt inadequate and slow of speech, but he showed up at the burning bush, and God used him to deliver a nation. A small boy showed up to hear Jesus with just 5 pieces of bread and 2 fishes, and Jesus multiplied it to feed thousands. A grieving Mary and Martha showed up at Lazarus' tomb, and Jesus raised him from the dead. The issue isn't our skills or our abilities. It's our availability and our obedience that sets the stage for God to do the miraculous. When you commit to showing up, whether it's in daily prayer and Bible reading, let me stop there. When you commit to show up in daily prayer, man, some of us want God to speak to us and to impact our life, to give us direction. And what I want to say to you is, man, are you showing up for your prayer time? You know, if you want God to show off, you got to show up. I mean, God is there waiting, all right? So, man, if we want God, are we committing ourselves to showing up in prayer and Bible reading? Are we showing up and trusting God even in the difficult situations? When you start showing up, God starts doing the incredible. When you show up at your workplace with integrity and a Christ-like attitude, even when it's challenging, God will use your witness to shine a light. When you show up for your family and your friends with love, patience, and forgiveness, and let God's grace flow through you to bring healing to those relationships. When you show up to this community and to church, offering your time and talents to serve others, man, God uses, He amplifies your efforts to bless others. When you show up in your weakness and your vulnerability, admitting, man, Lord, I need you, God's strength is made perfect. Our showing up is not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about being present and being willing to be obedient to His call, however small or insignificant it may seem. It's about taking that first step of faith, trusting that God will meet you and do what only He can do. You see, the disciples, they obeyed Jesus and went where He told them to go. They went to the mountain. Even after the trauma of the cross, their failure, their fear, and their confusion, faith sometimes looks like just showing up. We think of faith as this big thing, like, oh, I got to have faith to move mountains. But sometimes faith is just showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's not clear, even when you don't feel like it. How do you live dead? You know, we're challenging you to live dead, to give your whole life to Jesus. I think it starts with showing up. Because when I show up, God shows off. Number 2, if you're taking notes, write this down. Your doubt doesn't disqualify you. your doubt doesn't disqualify you. Doubt doesn't disqualify. The verse is this. When they saw Jesus, they worshiped him, and here's the shocker, but some doubted. Take a moment to understand the scene that's happening here, right? Jesus, he's risen from the dead, victorious over sin and death. He's commanded his disciples to meet him on the mountain of Galilee. And this is it, the culmination of everything they've witnessed, everything they've hoped for. They're going to meet with the resurrected Jesus, right? They arrive, and there he is. And the Bible says they worshiped him. Of course they did, right? I mean, this is the Messiah, the risen King. Jesus is alive. It must have been an amazing moment to see Jesus standing in front of them. And then we read the next part, which shocks me. And some doubted. And some of them doubted. Here are the very people who have been with Jesus. They heard his teachings, they saw his miracles, they witnessed his resurrection, and yet they still had doubts. I can relate to that. I can relate to that. You see, my doubt might be different than yours, though. I don't doubt God. You see, I know God is big. And I know God is good, right? I already believe that. I already know that. I don't have much doubt in God. My doubt isn't in God. It's in me. I don't doubt God. I doubt me. I hate to admit this, but when we were hiking down, when we were coming down from Mount Sumbing, I had one of the most embarrassing moments of my life, all right? One of the foundational rules for hiking is never hike alone, right? You know, because that's just dangerous, right? You never hike. That's every hiker knows that. Everybody should know that. Don't go hiking alone. So the group of four, there was 14 of us, and we divided into 3 groups. All right, we had the speed group. We had what do we call the second group? I can't remember what we called it was like speed sunrise or something like that. I can't remember that. And then the third group was the Sanang group. All right, they just were going for fun. All right, that was the slow group. All right, so I wanted to be in the speed group. All right, because when I hike, for me, when I go hiking, it's about getting. It's reaching the goal. All right, I want to get there and get back. All right, I don't need to stop. I don't need to take pictures. I don't need to enjoy it. For me, the enjoyment is being finished. All right. Now, how about you? Are you more the I want to stop and take pictures? I want to enjoy the moment. I want to enjoy God's beautiful Not me. All right. I'll enjoy God's creation when I'm done. All right. So I was in the speed group. I was in group 1. But on the way down the mountain, I decided, you know what? I need to be a good dad. I'm going to hike down with my kids. All right. The problem is they were going too slow. You know? So I went from being a good dad to a bad dad, and I decided just to leave them. All right. They had the tour guide with them. All right. I didn't just like leave them alone. Like, good luck, kids. No, they had the tour guide was with them. So the guide was with them. The porter was with them. So, but they were just going too slow, and they were singing songs, and I was like, I just want to finish. All right. So I just start walking by myself. I'm going, and about 20 to 30 minutes later, as I'm going down, I realize I don't recognize anything. I look around, I'm like, this is not the right path. And I mean, it's just trees and forest all around me, and the path is getting thinner and thinner. I'm like, I've gone the wrong way, all right? Then here's the scary thing is, no one even knows I'm lost. You know, nobody knows that I left the group, that I'm on my own. I mean, no one knows where I am or how to find me or anything like that. And so I have no idea where I'm at, and no one even knows that I'm lost. I can't believe it, right? Bodo, right? So I stopped, I turned around and started running back up the trail, all right? Because I was like, man, maybe I can meet somebody on the trail, you know, maybe. And the problem is, as I was hiking back up the hill, everything just looked the same. I couldn't recognize, like, when did I reconnect with the old path? And so after about 10 minutes of me, I wasn't having a panic attack yet, right? But I was like on the verge, right? You know, I was like, this could be bad. Like, this could get really, really bad if I don't find the path, if I don't find the right path. And finally, I hear to my left, I hear, Dad, all right, and I look, and Benaiah and the tour guide are off about 200 meters from me, all right, on the other hill. I was actually on the wrong hill, all right, and so yeah, I was so gone, all right. I almost had to do like survival by myself. So man, and that's when and the tour guide comes and gets me and puts me on the right path, all right. Now that seems to happen to me all the time in life. When I trust myself, man, I always end up on the wrong path, right? I'm always making the wrong turn. I'm getting myself lost. And here's the problem is I know what the Bible says. I know the Bible says, trust in the Lord in all of your ways. Lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways, submit to him. And what? He will make your paths straight. I know that, but why don't I do that, right? You know, I always choose my way. I want to make my path. I know God will make my path straight, but it's amazing how quickly I want to take control. It's amazing how quickly I want to say, I want to do things my way. I want to make my decision. I want to do it on my timeline, and I want to trust myself and not God. And time again, I end up in the wrong spot. I'm lost, and I'm tired. So I don't doubt God. I doubt myself because I know God is good and he can do big things. I don't doubt God. I doubt that God can use someone like me. That's what I doubt. I doubt that God, with my past and my shortcomings and my failures, how can God use me? I'm broken. I've made mistakes. I can be selfish and self-serving. The disciples doubted, and this is so powerful. In the very presence of the risen Jesus, some doubted. And here's the key to the whole morning. They still worshiped. They still worshiped. Worship does not require perfect faith. It just requires an open heart. You can bring your doubts into worship today. Jesus doesn't push doubters away. He draws them close to him. Jesus doesn't push doubters away. He draws them close to him. When it says they worshiped and some doubted, he didn't say, those of you doubting, get out of here. No, he in their doubt, when they were still doubting, he gives them the Great Commission. He says, while you're worshiping, some doubted, go and make disciples. But God, I have all these issues. Go and make disciples. But God, I've got these problems. God, how can you use me? Go and make disciples. I'm still calling you despite all your issues, but God, my family problems, you don't understand. Go and make disciples. God says, in your doubt, he still calls them to go and live on mission. How do you live on mission? Number one, show up and let God show off. And number two, your doubts do not disqualify you. Who's our keyboard? Mika, right? All right, Mika, come and help me close. All right, we got 2 minutes left here. One more story, and then we'll pray. I wasn't here last Sunday because I had the opportunity to go to Labuan Bajo. All right, it was my first time going there, and it was amazing. There's two places I've always wanted to go in Indonesia. Number one was Komodo Island, and the second one is Raja Ampat. All right, last week, when I was in Labuan Bajo, I got to go to Komodo Island. All right, I got to go see the Komodo dragons. But here's the problem. Is we were scheduled to take a boat to Komodo Island, right, to see the Komodo dragons. How cool is that, right? But the weather was too bad, so they had to change the direction of the boat, and we ended up going to an island called Rinca. I think I was saying it right. Rinca. Now, it was an island. It also had Komodo dragons. So we get off the boat and we're walking down and we go through this little gate and we walk through this little area and we see like 6 Komodo dragons. all right? And I was thinking, like, is this safe or not? But our tour guide, he had a stick. So of course we must be safe. Like, this guy is like this tall and he's holding a stick. I'm like, wait, if that Komodo dragon's like 2 meters long, like if that thing wants to attack us, you think that stick is going to stop him? All right? I think that stick is to hit me so he can run away. All right? That's what I thought the stick was for. All right? But we walk through this little area, and we even get to see a Komodo dragon like eating something. It was just really crazy. And I remember thinking, like, is this safe? There's no way this can be safe. But okay, we go through and we get back on the boat and we head back, and then I hear a story about the island about Komodo dragons, and the tour guide was saying, oh yeah, on Komodo Island, all of the Komodo dragons have been domesticated. Do you understand when I say domesticated? Meaning they're used to being around humans. So the Komodo dragons on Komodo Island, they never attack humans because they're used to seeing people come and go. Tourists come to Komodo Island all the time. And then the park ranger or the tour guide said to us, the Komodo dragons that are too aggressive, we take them off of Komodo Island. And where do you think they put them? Rinca, the island I was on. All right? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I was just walking through and say, oh, okay, take it. I even have a picture with one of them in front of me. I'm like, hey, I can't believe it. Like, you're telling me the dangerous ones is where, oh goodness, I couldn't believe that happened, all right? But I was thinking today, this past week, that's the call of God, right? We think we're going to Komodo Island. It's going to be safe. It's going to be fun. I'm going to take my picture. And God says, actually, I'm taking you to Rinca. I'm taking you to the dangerous place. I'm taking you to the hard place. I'm taking you to the place that if you show up, I'm going to show off. If you go, if you obey, yeah, you're going to doubt. But in your doubt, in your worries, in your inadequacies, I'm still going to use you. And I think that's what God's calling us to do. We think we're going this way. God, I got my plan. But God is saying, you know what? My plan is going to look different. My plan, it's going to be harder. It might be more dangerous. But if you just show up, I'm going to use you. Let's stand together today. Because I know today, when you think about your future and you wonder, God, can you use someone like me? When we're talking about live dead, you're wondering, God, I want to live on mission, but I have some doubts. I've got some worries. Today, I want to invite you to worship in your doubts, to seek the Lord in your doubts, to obey the Lord even when you doubt. Would you pray with me today? Father in heaven, God, I don't doubt you, Lord. I know you're good. I know you're big. You can see the big picture. My doubt is not in you. God, my doubt is in me. God, that you could use me with all my shortcomings. Yet you say to me, God, in my doubt, you say, go and make disciples of all people. Oh, God, turn my doubt into worship today. I come to you with everything I have, all my goodness, all my talents, but also all the things that I just don't know about, God. So receive my worship today. In Jesus' name, let's sing together.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that of the goodness of God. All my life all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Sing all my life you've been so faithful. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Can we sing? Love your voice. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Sing it one more time. All my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness